Now, we talk about Netflix's most expensive movie ever. What was the budget on this? Like 200 million?
It's something along those lines. It was a big old number. I remember that.
A big old number, and for what? And for what?
Not much.
Yeah.
Not much. Over 200 million. Oy. So, let's see. If you don't know, let's start with just the obvious question. What does the gray man mean? What does that I thought going into it like maybe it was some kind of sci-fi thing
I thought it was a code name.
or a code name. He's got a code name and I'm like it's just the whole thing is so self-serious.
Okay.
But the gray man, imagine you're playing chess. You have a white, you have a black side. So the gray man would be someone who does
Okay.
whatever he needs to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's just start. Katrin, you were there. You watched it.
I
What
certainly
was your
did.
main takeaway from it?
Uh, well, I said it before, I'll say it again. Ryan Gosling continues to be attractive. And that's pretty much my positive takeaway from the movie. I wrote a list of things for it. It felt like it was trying to be like an 80s action movie, but not quite. Like I feel like it could have some of the jokes felt like it was just trying to be like that campy 80s thing. Do you know what I mean?
With like catchphrases and really cool
Catchphrases
dialogue
and
that nobody
going
would
back,
actually say.
right, and going back to repeating jokes that somebody had said before. It's just all things that have been done before. And I think if they really wanted to go that route, they should have stayed with that and kind of dug deeper into that. But it wasn't like that because it was also trying to be a cool James Bond kind of thing. There was the whole opening scene reminded me of the I think it's in Shanghai in Skyfall. I don't know if you ever remember that, but the whole fight sequence, because it's like they're fighting in front of all these cool colors, and they kind of did that in the beginning of this movie, and I was like, oh wow, this is
I'll,
really cool
I'll
looking.
give them that. Like it was very
In
visual.
silhouettes, yeah.
There was a lot going on. There was a lot to look at. I joked that a big part of the budget went toward LED lights and multicolored, stuff going on in the
And
background,
drones.
and drones, and like,
Unnecessarily.
Ryan Gosling he's this hired assassin, and
Hmm.
he's supposed. If you're an assassin, you generally don't want to stick out too much. He's out there in this designer bright red suit, you know,
Okay.
walking around like people
And
are
well,
gonna they were gonna want to talk to you. He's kind of making a scene. What were you gonna say?
sorry, and not only that, but like he's been trained to be an intelligent assassin, and within
Yeah,
the first 5 minutes of the movie, he blows his own cover to the people that he's been working with for years, just because of one person saying something to him, and then he's immediately like, "I'm gonna believe this person, and I'm
yeah,
gonna, I'm gonna," instead of deciding if that's true and play along with the people I'm working with, I'm just gonna let them know, nope, I don't believe you guys anymore, and you feel free to come after me now. And the other thing was Chris Evans' character. He was so much cockier than his character. Like Chris Evans playing this character came off so much cockier, as if he was so much more brilliant and the whole thing was so much more meta than it actually was. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he there is so much, like in the beginning they introduce him as like, bring so and so on. I don't know Chris Evans' character's name. Bring him on. No, we can't do that, he's a sociopath. And throughout
The dialogue was very on the nose about that kind of
right,
stuff.
it's like those, actually ironically, it's like those Netflix Christmas movies where they have the main character woman, everybody's like, you're so smart and you're so funny and you're so this and that, and you never actually see them being that way.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're going to set you up and let you know that this is how this character is supposed to be, so that you can just have that in your mind, and then we don't have to do any of the other clever writing to justify it.
Yeah. Roland, you haven't seen it yet, but you've at least seen the marketing for it and are you you're gonna probably watch it on Netflix, and that was sort of this whole stunt as they released it in theaters to sort of build up hype so that people
Yeah.
would watch it on Netflix. Is there anything about it that, as someone who hasn't seen it, you're curious to know about?
I did have some questions, but you guys went through it. That was props to you guys. You had like 2 minutes and you answered pretty much all my questions because
We have more.
I
Oh, there's
I
so much
probably
more.
I kept seeing different like it's an action movie. There's like some funny or they're trying to be funny some moments. So I didn't know how well they were going to handle that. I know the Russo brothers were good about action. I mean, the whole everybody talks about it, but the Community episode with paintballs was like
Yeah.
this epic thing of
Mhm.
like low budget. So like, what are they going to do with this high budget? But I mean,
Well, I wonder because the Russo brothers have done a really good job at, like, they were the ones who started bringing humor into the Marvel movies and making those movies that are a bit of everything. There's drama,
yeah.
there's action, there's sex, there's like it hits you on every sense.
Hmm.
With Netflix movies generally, they always, I don't know if they're getting reined in to say like maybe this could have been a lot better and Netflix is at fault. But I know Ryan Gosling is a great actor. I know Chris Evans can do the work. I actually liked him better as Lightyear, believe it or not. Um,
Wow.
I he was not good in this. Um, I I know that all of these people involved can do amazing work. And yet, the script was lacking. Some of the shots made no sense. Some of the honestly, just the plot was so all over the place, and it just
Right.
felt like a montage of like we're here, now we're here, now we're here, now we're here, and
Right.
there's so much action and destruction, and I have a bit of a destruction threshold that once it's by the
Yeah.
fourth, I'm checked out.
Gotcha.
Well, and the other interesting thing is what you're saying is like it's trying to be so many different movies. Like
Yeah,
it's like James Bond, there's like some John Wick in there. Again, like just general 80s, 90s action movies. The action scenes, quite a few of them were like pretty good. There was one specific action scene or two even that the music started to sound just like James Bond music. It was very odd and it like pulled me out of the movie. I was like, whoa, why is it making fun of James Bond or what? But it wasn't. It was taking itself seriously in that
yeah.
moment.
And for on the James Bond note, Ryan Gosling's character, his code name is Six, and everybody's calling him Six, and it's like, hey Six, where are you? And it's like they're really trying to make that sound cooler than it is. And
Yeah.
at one point, the girl he's protecting says, "Why are you Six?" He goes, "007 was taken." And it's like, if that weren't so true, then maybe, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was the tone was really wrong, and I don't know if it was the writing, the acting, the directing, or somebody behind the scenes saying we need to make it this. It felt
I think it was a combination of everything you just said.
yeah, it missed in a lot of ways, and
There were a couple of points that I thought were funny, I think. And you kind of laughed too. Like, right?
Mhm.
We both loved
yeah,
like this the cell phone thing that Chris Evans said. I don't know what he's like speakerphone or whatever. That was like a funny joke.
It
But
sounds like they
I don't want
were
to say it's an abject
trying to do
failure.
everything. What?
I don't want to say it was an abject failure. I just don't think it's
Yeah.
not worth buying Netflix again to, you know, to see this movie. And I think that's sort of what this whole stunt was about was we're going to put a lot of money in it. We're going to put so much money into it. We're going to publicize how much money we're putting into it. We're going to get these huge name actors, these big time directors,
Hmm.
and we're going to put it out in theaters so that people can talk about how incredible it is.
Yeah.
I was not impressed.
Well, that's kind of sad to hear because it's got the same writing team as like the Winter Soldier. I mean, they've always been this kind of like team. So to hear this is kind of crazy that they're trying to do everything and it just sounds like it's kind of collapsing in on itself. It's not too funny because it's taking itself seriously, and it can't be too seriously because it's trying to be funny.
they're M. Night Shyamalaning themselves.
Ah, there it is. Wow.
So do you think that like with them setting this movie up, because they have Knives Out 2 is coming. Like, when is Knives Out 2 coming out? And that's going to be a huge movie. It was the first one did great. It was, you know, a movie in theaters. This one's just going to go straight to Netflix probably, right? Unless they're going to do the limited release. So do you think that this movie was just specifically a setup to get people back on Netflix so that they can have people for Knives Out 2? Maybe that's where they're trying to go with this.
Well, that's the thing, is like it's a trap that they're setting for themselves, where they want to gain back all of the subscribers they lost, and that's why they've been taking a lot of risks this year in terms of what they put out and how they release it. And that puts them in a place to prioritize quality again, but also to, you know, always have that carrot on the stick further and further out. We always need something to tease you to subscribe one more month. You know, if they start releasing stuff in theaters, maybe if they did wide releases for everything and their stuff was truly of some quality, they could start making back their money and have sort of this hybrid model where they get a bunch of money from ticket sales and a bunch of money from the subscriptions of people who just are into watching Netflix stuff generally.
Yeah. I think that'd be smart, because I mean, they're still going to do these limited releases. So might as well make it this kind of big limited release, but a general wide thing to kind of make it like a fun, almost marketing thing. Like, hey, we're going to be here for a week. Come get it while it's quick. And if you miss it, well, it's on our streaming platform if you want to catch it. So
I think go ahead. No. You go.
Well, we found, you know, there is a movie that accurately represents what Netflix is doing here. Not even metaphorically. I think they just sort of, we've seen this before. Dan, could you pull up what I'm talking about and just show us what it is Netflix is doing here?
It's not about money. It's about sending a message. Everything burns.
And I'll admit, that's entertaining. So Netflix, that's great. And, you know, as long as you're doing that, it looks like you're having fun. In the meantime, follow us on all of the stuff. We're everywhere. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere you get a podcast. Interact with us. Be our friend. Tell us we're doing things wrong. Get us into fights. We'll engage. We're not afraid of that. Do you hear that? Those are fighting words. So, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe.